All right, learning targets 4 and 5 are going to, again, talk about graphing. And we've already talked about learning target 5 um, pretty extensively, both in the last video and then a little bit in class too. Um, but we're also going to look at graphing a line in standard form. Standard form is right here. Okay, this is generally what standard form looks like. In learning target 3, it was all slope-intercept form. Okay, learning target 4 is all standard form. Okay, and this is what standard form looks like. AX plus BY equals C. And the main difference here is that in slope-intercept form, we have the y all by itself on the one side. Standard form, we have the x's and y's on the same side, as well as their coefficients. Okay, so the first thing that I would like you to write down is just a little vocab kind of thing. This number in front of the x and y, these are called the coefficients. And they're what we multiply x and y by, the coefficients. This c over here is called the constant. It's just some number. Okay, so we might have 2x plus 4y equals 50, or negative 3/4 x plus 17y equals 10. Okay, those are just a couple examples, right? And the reason that we see standard form is sometimes you can express different situations better with standard form than you could with slope-intercept form. Okay, and we're not gonna really dive into that into too much detail on that until a couple units from now. But just so that you're aware, like this does have a purpose. And in just a minute, we're going to talk about how can I use this and what's given here to easily graph this line. Okay, so finding the x and y intercept will give us 2 points on the graph. Okay, and so if our line, if in general our line just looks like this, or if, I guess, don't start with a line. If we first find the y-intercept and it's right here, and next we find the x-intercept and it's over here, then we've got 2 points on this line, and all you have to do then is connect them with a line with arrows. Okay, so once we've got these two things, all you have to do is connect them. So that's why we're going to talk about how to find these. And if you remember talking about y-intercept, the y-intercept is any in the mx plus b, it was 0 comma b. Well, we don't really have a b here, but the x-coordinate is still 0. Okay, so it's where the x-coordinate is 0. And if we're finding the x-intercept, oh, this is one more, I mean, we've talked about this a lot, but the y-intercept is just where the line crosses the y-axis. Okay, and so you guys are pretty smart. Like, you can probably figure out what finding the x-intercept is if you look at this x-intercept right here. The coordinates of this point are, you know, some x value, maybe 6. And the y value is 0. Whereas here, the x value is 0, and we had a y value. Now we have a x value, but a y value of 0. Okay, so this, finding the x-intercept, is where y equals 0. And it is where the line crosses the x-axis. So we've got y-intercept, This is where x equals 0 and where the line crosses the y-axis. And then we've got the x-intercept. This is where y equals 0 and where the line crosses the x-axis. Okay? And if we can find those 2 points, we can draw this line. Those are the only 2 points that we need, and we can very easily find them from standard form by using this fact that we just wrote down right here. So to find the y-intercept, we just need to plug in x equals 0. To find the x-intercept, we need to plug in y equals 0. Okay? And so that's what we're going to do with these examples here. All right? I'm going to just make a little table just so I can kind of organize my thoughts here. For this first one, if I want to find the x-intercept is going to be somewhere along this x-axis, and I know that a y-coordinate of a point on the x-axis is 0. So I'm going to, instead of a y here, I'm going to plug in a 0. So really my equation now is 9x plus 3 times 0 equals 18. Okay, 3 times 0 is just 0, so really this is 9x equals 18. Divide by 9, you get x equals 2. So the coordinates of this point are x equals 2, y equals 0. To find the y-intercept, plug in a 0 for the x-coordinate, because the x-coordinate of a point on the y-axis, the x-coordinate is 0. So back to this 9x plus 3y equals 18, instead of an x, I'm going to plug in a 0. Okay? And I'll end up with, this just cancels all out to 0, 3y equals 18, divide by 3, y equals 6. Okay, so it's sort of applying some stuff from Unit 1 a little bit, just to solve an equation, basically. And we've done several daily maths too with plugging in values for x and y. So hopefully this is not, computationally, this is not too difficult. Okay, so the coordinates of this point, we plugged in a 0 for x, and we got 6 for y. All right. So I'm going to plot those 2 points on the graph, and I get 2, 0 is right there. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is right there. And I've got the 2 points that I need to draw this line. All right. If you feel like you've got it at this point, I would encourage you to pause the video and maybe try these other 3 on your own. You can always unpause and check to see how you did, but just as sort of a quiz yourself kind of thing, if you'd like, you could try that. Okay, so maybe you pause the video. If not, that's fine. I am going to go through the rest of these with you. For the x-intercept, we know the y-coordinate is going to be 0. So I'm going to put in a 0 for y. 3x plus 5 times 0 equals 15. This gives me just 3x equals 15, so x equals 5. So the x-intercept is at 5, 0. The y-intercept, that's where x equals 0. So down here in my equation, I'm going to do 3 times 0 plus 5y equals 15. That cancels out. 5 times y equals 15, so y equals 3. And this is 0, 3. So next go over to your graph and just plot these 2 points at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0. And 0, 1, 2, 3. And there's the line. Moving on to the third one here. We've got 4y minus 5x equals negative 25. For the x-intercept, the y-coordinate is 0. So I'm going to put in a 0 here for y. That all drops out. And I get negative 5x equals 25. Divide by negative 5 on both sides, you get x equals negative 5. For the y-intercept, I'm going to plug in a 0 for x, and this whole term is going to drop out to 0. And I get 4y equals 25. So 25 divided by 4 is, what, 6.25? So this is at 0, comma, 6.25. And to plot those points then, negative 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, comma 0, and 0, comma 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.25, right about there. And the last one then. The x-intercept, for the x-intercept, again, the y-coordinate is 0. So plug in a 0 here, and that drops out. You get negative 2x equals negative 12. So divide by negative 2 and divide by negative 2, and x equals 6. And for the y-intercept, we've got an x-coordinate of 0. So that drops out. We get 3y equals negative 12. Divide by 3, you get negative 4 for a y-intercept. All right, and so then at that point, just plot those two. And draw your line. Okay. Again, if you look at, and I just want to highlight a couple things for you. If you look at the x-intercept, every single x-intercept in the entire world has a y-coordinate of 0. X-intercepts have a y-coordinate of 0. Y-intercepts have an x-coordinate of 0. Every single y-intercept in the whole entire world, no matter how big your graph is, how small it is, decimals, fractions, whatever for the y-intercept, the x-coordinate is always 0. All right? So your before class is similar to the last one. Again, create 4 equations, except this time you are going to write them in standard form, that ax plus by equals c. Get some variety in there. So do some fractions here for your coefficients and your constant, or some negatives, like challenge yourself a little bit. Okay. Then graph your 4 equations here and leave this one blank.